Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the road trip. Kingdom Builders, Road Trippers, Mishpachah, Akim and Akatim, brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, aunties, and uncles, right? Grandmas and grandpas, everybody in the house, man. Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings to each and every single one of you, your homes, your dwellings, your children, those loved ones, your friends, and your pets, right? Hallelujah, Selah. All right, so we're going to be back here in all praises to the Most High, man. That's right. Well, you thought I was going to say something else. You thought I was going to start talking about the book. Nah, man. We're back here. All praises to the Most High. All day, man. Dipping in before we get started on anything. Uh-oh. There we go. I had to clean up the Ark of the Covenant, man. It was getting some of the ash from the altar of incense. Was floating over. If I had the fan on the other side of the room, it would blow the ashes all over this way. I had to tighten up. All right, man. All praises to Yahweh, man. All glory to Yahweh Shai. All honors to the Ruach HaKodesh, man. That's right. And my love and my respect goes out to each and every single one of you. Bathed in water, bathed in fire. We're here in chapter 27. And if you want to read along with me, that'd be kind of cool. Just doing a little quick pre-scan for you, real quick. Let you know what's coming up. 2 pages. That's it. All right, cool. That's kind of standard now. All right. With no further ado, I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Let's begin.
They come back.
27, and it reads, The word of the Most High came again unto me, saying, Now, thou, son of man, take up thy lamentation for Tyrus. 32 and 2, right? And say unto Tyrus, O thou that art situate at the entry of the sea, which art a merchant of the people for many isles. Thus saith the Most High Elohim, O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am of perfect beauty. Reference Isaiah 23 and 3. Also Ezekiel 28 and 2. 4, and it reads, Thy borders are in the midst of the sea. Thy builders have perfected thy beauty. They have made all the shipboards of fir trees and of Sinir. They have taken cedars from Lebanon to make masts for thee. Of the oaks of Bashan have they made thine oars, and thy company of the Ashurites have made thy benches of ivory, brought out of the isles of Chittim. Fine linen with broidered work from Mizraim was that which thou spreadest forth to be thy sail, blue and purple. See, man, perfect colors from the isles of Elisha, Salaki, was that which covered thee. I get excited sometimes. You know that. If you've been with me long enough, you know how I read, man. I get pumped up. All right. Salaka, y'all. Verse 8, it reads, The inhabitant of Zidon and Arvad were thy mariners, thy wise men, O Tyrus, that were in thee. Were thy pilots and ancients of Gebal, and the wise men thereof were in thee, thy caulkers, all the ships, and the sea, with their mariners were in thee to occupy thy merchandise. Reference 1 King 5 and 18, also Psalms 83 and 7. All right, so here we go. Verse 10, and it reads, They of Persia and of Lud and of Phut were in thine army, thy men of war. They hanged the shield and helmet in thee, and set forth the comeliness. Salake. The men of Arvad. Hold on, I'm going back. Okay, man. Verse 10. They of Persia and of Lud and of Phut were in thine army, thy men of war. They hanged the shield and the helmet in thee, and they set forth the comeliness. The men of Arvad with thine army were upon thy walls round about, and the Gammadims were in thy towers. They hang their shields upon thy walls round about. They have made thy beauty perfect. Tarshish was thy merchant by reason of the multitude of all kind of riches, with silver, iron, tin, and lead, and it traded in thy fairs. References Genesis 10 and 4. All right, 13, and it reads, Javan, Tubal, and Meshka, they were thy merchants. They traded thy persons of men and vessels and brass. See, traded the persons of men and all kinds of things. All kinds of things, man. See, Babylon back then, the real golden age, there was merchants traveling ships coming from the east and west, going everywhere, man, trading spices and people and all different kind of things, gold and wood and fine timbers. See, like, you hear about the cedars, you always hear about these cedars of Lebanon, right? It sounds like the finest wood in the world, doesn't it? It sure does. All right, man. All right, so here we are. Verse 14, they of the house of Torgama traded in their fairs with horses and horsemen and mules. The men of Dedan were thy merchants. Many isles were the merchants of thine hand. They brought thee for a present horns of ivory and ebony. Syria was thy merchant by reason of the multitude of the wares of the making. They occupied in the fairs with emeralds, purple, and embroidered work, and fine linen, and coral, and agate. Yehuda and the land of Yasharel, they were thy merchants. They traded in the market wheat and minnith, and penag, and oil, and honey, and balm. Damascus was thy merchant in the multitude of thy wares of thy making, for the multitude of all thy riches, in the wine of Helbon and white wool. Dan also Javan, going to and fro, occupied in their fairs, bright iron, cassia, and calamus were in thy market. Dedan was thy merchant in precious cloths, and chariots, Arabia, and all the princes of Kedar. They occupied with thee in lambs and rams and goats, and in these were they thy merchants. References Genesis 25 and 13, also Isaiah 60 and 7. All right, let's continue. 22, and it reads, the merchants of Sheba and Ramah, they were thy merchants. They occupied in thy fairs with chief of the spices and with all the precious stones and golds. Haran and Canaan and Eden and the merchants of Sheba and Ashur and Chilmad were thy merchants. References Genesis 11 and 31, also 2 Kings 19 and 12, 24, and it reads, these were thy merchants in all sorts of things, in blue cloths, and embroidered work, and in chests, and rich apparel, bound with cords, and made of cedar among thy merchandise. Didn't I just say that? The cedars that come from Lebanon. 25, and it reads, the ships of Tarshish did sing of thee in thy market, and thou wast replenished, and made very glorious in the midst of the seas. Thy rowers have brought thee unto the great waters, and east wind hath broken thee into the midst of the seas. Thy riches and thy fairs, thy merchandise, thy mariners and thy pilots, thy chocketers and thy occupiers of thy merchandise, and all thy men of war that are in thee, and in all that accompany, which is in the midst of thee, shall fall into the midst of the seas in the day of thy ruin. The suburbs. All right, hold on. Yeah. Verse 28. The suburbs shall shake at the sound of the cry of the pilots, and all that handle the oar, the mariners, and all the pilots of the sea shall come down from their ships. They shall stand upon the land, and shall cause their voice to be heard against thee, and shall cry bitterly, and shall cast up dust upon their heads. They shall wallow themselves in the ashes. Reference Job 2 and 12, also Revelations 18 and 19. 31, and it reads, and they shall make themselves utterly bald for thee, and gird themselves with sackcloth, and they shall